Hey guys, it's Johnny from JohnnyJet.com, and today we're going to talk about who should apply for the Chase Sapphire Preferred versus the Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card. The main reason I want to talk about this is because people are always asking me, what's your favorite travel credit card? Obviously, if you have a score of 700 above or 3 to 5 credit cards, 1 to 2 years of credit history, I would recommend getting one of these cards. The Chase Sapphire Reserve is one of the top cards from Chase. So if you look into the cards that most normal people can get, I would argue that it's in the top tier. And since it has a $10,000 minimum credit limit, that means Chase is going to have to approve you for a $10,000 credit limit on this card alone. Not all the cards that you have, but this one alone. So if you don't have that kind of limit, I wouldn't apply for it because they're going to reject you. Because Chase typically wants you to give you about 50% of your income as a credit limit. So this means that you have to be making at least $20,000 of income for this 50% rule. And it's not a hard rule, but it's their rule. So there are some people that will, might be at 40%, but there also might be some at 80%. The main problem, though, is that if you're someone with a thin file, let's say you're a student, that it's probably going to be unlikely that Chase is going to approve you for this mid or actually especially a top tier credit card if you don't have any Chase history. This means that you typically need to have a Freedom card and probably about 2 to 4 months of history with them before they're going to approve you for either the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve. For this group of people, I typically recommend the Chase Sapphire Preferred just because I think approvals are going to be a lot easier. The Chase Sapphire Preferred, the minimum opening limit is just $5,000. So it's a lot less of a risk for Chase than giving you a $10,000 credit limit. So if you're a student or with a thin file, right out of school, the annual fee is also likely going to be not the best for you. So obviously your mileage is going to vary, but I feel like there are some other better choices, especially if your goal is just to get lounge access. With this and pretty much everything I talked about, your mileage is going to vary. To summarize, incomes need to be pretty large to get approved for Chase Sapphire Reserve. If you want to build your way into a premium card like this, you basically want about 1 year of history from other cards before applying. So you would want this Freedom card first, and then after having the Freedom card, you want to have that for about, let's say, 2 to 4 months of good history, and then you can apply for the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve. On that note, if you're looking to apply for any of these cards, if you want to support my channel, I deeply appreciate it if you apply for the cards using the links on my website, JohnnyJet.com. You can find them under the points rewards credit cards. Some people think that Chase Sapphire Reserve gives more value to Chase Sapphire Preferred. The main reason this group is probably here is because they get a lot of value out of the Chase Sapphire Reserve. But the $450 annual fee scares them, and I think that's fine. Again, if you're concerned about that, if you're not really sure about what your spending is going to be or look like, the Chase Sapphire Preferred is probably the way to go because their annual fee is a lot more reasonable. In year 1, the fees are waived. If you don't like it, you can always downgrade to another card afterward. You're still getting the same sign-up bonus. The only difference is going to be global entry, priority pass, as well as not getting 3 times the points or instead of 2 times. A lot of people I talk to end up getting Chase Sapphire Preferred first, and then they end up getting the Chase Sapphire Reserve, just because it's a smart way to get started. That's a more measured way of getting acclimated into the miles and points game. The other thing to consider is the annual fees between these 2 cards. Annual fees are waived for the Chase Sapphire Preferred in the first year, but it's not waived for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. So for many, it might make sense to get the Chase Sapphire Preferred in the first year just to avoid the fee, and then upgrading to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, just because they don't mind missing out on the benefits of the first year. It's really not a bad strategy. It's just finding the one that works for you. My question to you guys is, what's the thought process when you were considering the Chase Sapphire Preferred versus the Chase Sapphire Reserve? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and feel free to share this video with any of your friends who are thinking about getting one of these travel rewards credit cards. See you next time.